All right, so now that we've got a good PowerPoint thing, some of this stuff we may have already gone over, but I'm just going to go from the beginning. All right, so if you remember, we have in the foot, you have the tarsal bones, and the metatarsals, and the phalanges. And the foot has to do two things. It has to act like a mobile adapter, so when you step down onto the ground, if it's an abnormal surface, it has to be able to flex and accommodate to it. But then at the other hand, it has to be a rigid lever so that when you fall down, when you land on your foot and you're going to step off, you need to be able to propel yourself. Okay? So it has to do both of those at the same time. So, in some ways it has to be loose like this, because when you're walking around on irregular surfaces, rocks and things like that, you have to be able to accommodate to irregular surfaces. And when you're during gait, when the foot first lands down onto the ground, it's on the posterior lateral part of the heel. So your foot has to be rigid, and that position is supination. So in the beginning it's supinated, and then in the middle portion of it, the foot flattens out and acts more like this in pronation where it's loose, and then it goes back to supination when you toe off. And so then it has to be rigid when you toe off, and that's going to be the position of supination, is when it's locked, and then pronation is when it's more flexible. So it's divided into three different parts. The rear foot, which is going to be here, the calcaneus and the talus. There's another picture later that shows that again. And then the midfoot is going to be the rest of the tarsals here. The navicular, the cuboid, and the three cuneiforms. And then the forefoot is from there on out. So the tarsals, or the tarsus, is the 7 tarsal bones. Right? So basically on this end, most of the weight's going to be carried on the calcaneus and the talus. So the talus is the one tarsal bone that links to the tibia and the fibula here. And that's the ankle mortise joint. Okay? So obviously the weight of the upper extremity goes first through the talus, and then it's distributed primarily to the calcaneus, and then also out more towards the rest of the front of the foot. And then the talus, again, is going to articulate with the tibia and the fibula. And I think I might have mentioned this last time, is that if you look at the top of the talus, this side is more anterior, and you can see how it's wider in the front here, and it tapers, or it's more narrow in the back. Right? So, as I mentioned before, when your foot is in a neutral position like this, it's going to be more locked. The farther you bend it up like this, the more it's going to tend to spread the tibia and the fibula. So you can get a high ankle sprain by forcing the foot into dorsiflexion, and that can separate the tibia and the fibula. And then when you're up in this position like this, the ankle's not going to be as stable. So if you're wearing high heels, for example, and your foot's like this, your ankle joint's not going to be as stable as it is when it's in this position where it's going to lock a little bit. So then from the talus, then the rest of the bones we have, so this is the calcaneus and the talus, that's the rear foot. Right? And then this other one right here looks like a little boat, right? You know what that one's called? The navicular. And then you have these three right here, which are what? Cuneiforms. Coming over to the side, what's this? Cuboid. And then you have these. So this is the rear foot right here. And then this is the midfoot right there. And then the forefoot is these here, the metatarsals and the phalanges. So you can hang this up and make a little wind chime, right? Right, so there's just showing all the different bones again, right? So go go through the other ones. So the calcaneus is basically what you consider your heel bone, right? And then what's this tendon right here? Achilles. Achilles tendon, right? Okay. And then here, so you have the talus. So then again, this is the rear foot back here. This is the ankle mortise where it articulates with the tibia and the fibula and the talus bone. And then you're going to have, and the talus is the second largest bone on the foot. That's going to articulate with the tibia above and the fibula, and then the calcaneus below. And the talus, I think we might have mentioned that already, that's the only bone in the foot that doesn't have any muscles attaching to it. It's kind of surrounded like it's in a cage with all the tendons going around on either side of it, but none of them actually attach to the talus. That's because, like I was talking about, where the front part of the talus is wider and the back part is, yeah, the ankle's not going to be as stable. And then if you, the talus has like 4 different surfaces. So originally what they did was they used it to play dice. Right? You roll it and you land on 4 different sides. Right? So now we have other things to use.
Is that the pirates that used to do that?
I'm not sure who did it. I wouldn't know exactly the reference of who did it, but somebody. They probably would. Gotta have something to do while you're getting marooned. Okay, so then the cuboid is going to be a cube-shaped foot, a cube-shaped bone over on the lateral side of the foot here. I don't know. This one, I guess it was bigger so they could paint the numbers on it better. Yes, you know, somebody wants to look that up and do some research on that. Maybe that might be an extra credit for us. So then the navicular, again, is going to be shaped like a boat, right? So here's the little navicular sailing on the sea. And then what's going to be significant is this navicular tuberosity on the medial side here. Okay, that's one of the things we went over with palpation. And we're going to review a lot of palpation stuff again. But if you remember, when we palpated on the medial side here, you can differentiate between the spots of these different joints. Okay? You have the talus, the navicular tubercle, the first cuneiform, and then the first metatarsal. All right, so that's just pretty much reviewing what we've just been talking about. And like this area here is what you call the ball of the foot, right? So around this area here, we have the head of the first metatarsal. So then we talked about the phalanges. Again, on the big toe side, you've only got 2 phalanges, and then on the other ones you have 3, same as in the hand.